Yeah, that's a nice point. There's some chairs up here. You're good? Okay, well, we'll get started. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Town of Calmar's Municipal Election Candidates Forum. My name is Dave Demetrician. I'm going to be your moderator for the evening, and I'd like to welcome you as well as the candidates and those that are watching on the various platforms that are being recorded by the town. Also want to draw to your attention for safety purposes, the muster point in case of emergency is in the parking lot, and those of you are familiar with that area. First, I'd like to start this session with the land acknowledgement. The Town of Calmar is located on Treaty 6 lands, the traditional lands of the Cree, Downe, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, and Métis. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis and Inuit, whose footsteps have marked this land for generations, and we are honored to live on those lands. So to the candidates, I want to acknowledge your contribution to the democratic process of municipal elections by participating in this evening's forum. I think the roots of democracies start with elections. The format for this evening, this is not going to be a debate style. We're going to be open for Q&A, questions and answers, to be received from you from the floor and directed to one or all of the candidates to answer your questions. As moderator, and to ensure everyone has the opportunity to ask their questions, you'll go one question at a time and we'll be reasonable. We're not going to put the clock on you, but be reasonable on the length of time that you get to when you ask your questions. We've got some guidelines. First, this evening is the goal of this evening is to provide you, the public, an opportunity to dialogue with elected candidates in order that you are able to make an informed decision on election day. When asking questions, we ask you to be respectful and to please speak in a tone that is of conversation volume and not collaborative and not antagonistic, because it's important to have this kind of environment for this discussion this evening. As well as suggestions to you that are asking the questions, we ask you to consider, to phrase your questions in a what or a how. You're here to listen to the responses of the candidates, and so their opinions is what you're after. So if you could remember that, that would be great. So starting with our first step in the forum this evening, we're going to break it up into, first of all, the 3 council members. Then we're going to we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then the remaining councillors, the councillors will then go through their presentations. So prior to the forum, a draw was taken to see who would speak first. Oh, there it is there. And so we're going to go in that. We're going to go in that order. So each candidate will provide a 3-minute briefing, and they've been informed. Each member has been informed prior to this session of this process. And Heather is going to create a song and dance or a bell or something that end 15 seconds prior to the 3 minutes warning, or 3 minutes that are coming up. So they'll be clear and concise in their presentations. So after they're finished their questions, or their presentations, pardon me, then we'll go to the Q&A with you, the public, and you've gone through the format already, and Heather will come around with the microphone so that you can speak into that loud and clear. So with that, the mayoralty candidates, the first speaker, for first presenter is going to be Alvin Ryan.
Good evening, I'm Alvin Ryan and I'm fairly new to Calmar. And I have to say, the response I've got by door knocking by the people here, I definitely know I've made the right choice to come and move and live. I mean, whether you disagree or not, it's been respectful, it's been nice, the community's lovely. Some of my priorities while being a new mayor would be open and transparent community engagement and enhanced responsibilities and concerns brought forward. And I hope you understand that council moves slowly. The process that we go through is kind of a slow process. But when you bring something to me, I will work due diligently and come back and give you an answer and response in a very short time. I'm dedicated to the support and group of local businesses in surrounding areas. I'd like to see a bylaw passed where outside contractors have to source 30% of the material in the surrounding areas so the money doesn't leave the community, and at least we get to keep some of it. As well public health enhancement that, and get the public more involved, which is hard. If there's a big financial decision, and I know council's been struggling that by going to meetings to get more people involved. And Calmar's not that big of a place. I'm willing to go door to door to get your personal response on some of these things that involve big money and expenses, so you feel you have some input to what council decides. And from the responses I've got, because I'm not on council right now and I can't, but I'll pass a lot of them forward that were given to me while door knocking, because every concern you got, no matter what candidate you support, for me it's more important that you go to the poll and vote the way you feel, right? And grab your neighbors. I want a big turnout here. You know, I'd like to see Calmar have one of the biggest turnouts they've had in elections. And my understanding is, from door knocking, a lot of people feel like they're left out in the decisions and stuff. And whether it's because they don't read the Chronicle or, you know, there's a lot of reasons for it. I want to make it more vocal, giving them face. And we're having trouble getting something passed. We need MLAs. I have no trouble sitting on his doorstep every day. You know, on them issues, I'm like a dog with a bone, if it's going to benefit the community. Thank you.
Good. Thanks a lot, Alvin. So our second speaker will be Kirk Bobek.
I'm not going to.
That's all right.
Are you able to, excuse me, before you get started.
There'll be some that don't want to hear my voice anyway.
Are you able to pick up the microphone all right? Yeah. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, I don't want to upset anybody. I don't have a grudge for anyone. I'm not Am I not loud enough, or is that better? Good. Okay. So it's for that, right? I'm not a Luddite. Okay, I don't hate technology. I enjoy using my hands to do things. In any case, I don't want to upset anybody. We have a staff, we have an infrastructure, we have these things in place. It's a matter of asking a lot of questions. Going through it, I see things I don't like. I would like to see a transparent budget. If anybody would like to have a look at this, and I brought this, and this isn't for being dramatic, it's very small, you can probably get it bigger, but if anybody wants to pop through that, it's hard to follow, okay? And then there's these hidden taxes and various other things too. So when you're looking at our income and everything else, I think each line should be defined by its division. I think each line should have a total at the bottom. I think a person should be able to find out what the HR role is in Calmar immediately by looking at it. Some of those numbers should be done and maybe even added as an addendum. But that's a very difficult document to go through and understand what's happening, okay? And I'm sure it has to be explained to. Now, with that, also the agenda has changed. Now, there's a number of people that were on council before, and if everybody did this, it'd be much easier too, because everybody would have an understanding of what the problems are with it. So I see Rick Savaston, and I see Don, and I see Dan, and many others that have done this, and the same frustrations. So when we had an agenda, you would come in, the agenda would be reviewed. Was there anything to add or remove from the agenda was on there? People could voice themselves. There was questions from the public. Today, you need to, how many days ahead, get on the agenda, and if your name's not on it, you don't get to speak, and you don't get to ask questions. Okay, now that's got to change. I don't know where that happened, but that has to go back to, very eloquently said, right? Like this is your community. I say, there's a flyer here. I call us servant leaders, okay? No blown heads. This is here to take care of our community. It doesn't make you a poobah. It doesn't get you a special ticket into whatever you believe in the future or the end. Our bylaws and policies. Now, again, I don't want to piss anybody off. We've got good people here that maybe it's direction and we go through these things and find out what's going on. But when you have, stop me if I'm wrong, you have a legal budget of $2,000? Okay, well, it's in here. It's $2,000 under enforcement. Well, people don't realize I'm coming up on time. Oh my goodness, I'm only halfway through there. So anybody that wants to have a chat or otherwise, please invite me over, get some friends together. There's a number of things. So why don't we do like BC? Let's get a community radio station that allows us to just do this thing within a certain speed. They have these in BC, okay? And I'm gonna finish this one because it's important. When things go down, people can turn on the radio and everything's there for 2 minutes, okay? You could have the council agendas on there. We're required by law to have 2 ways of advertising. Costs a lot of money every year.
Just to remind you, Kirk, you've got another minute at the wind-up.
You can get it on me in a flash. I can bring out my...
Discount later.
But we'll remember that.
Sorry, sense of humor gets you too late.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so next we'll go with Krista Gardner.
Thank you. So I'm Krista Gardner, and I want to be your next mayor. Many of you know me from my time on council, where I've been a consistent vocal advocate for Calmar and the people who call it home. Maybe you recognize my name from my social media work, sharing what the town and council is working on and listening to your thoughts and comments. Or maybe just from seeing me at one of my many volunteer roles or all the events I attend in and around Calmar. I'm running for mayor because I believe in Calmar's potential. I want to build a community where families thrive, youth are supported, every resident's voice is heard, all with the transparency, accountability, and dedication that I have brought to council for almost a decade. I have lived in Calmar since 2007. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from the U of A, and I have a work background working with children and families in mental health and family supports. Since the time that I was first elected, I have served on almost every board and committee that the town is involved in, and I enjoy the challenge of understanding the depth and breadth of municipal activities. It's not as easy as I think a lot of times people think. I've also been elected as both the Director of Towns West and the Vice President of Towns on the Alberta Municipalities Board, formerly AUMA, for anyone who's involved previously here. They're a province-wide advocacy and support organization for municipalities, and in that position, I've taken every opportunity to learn from my peers in order to come back here and be better for you. I've also used my position to promote and support Calmar whenever possible. I am sadly on their doorsteps already doing that work. My 3 priorities in 2021 when I ran for council were communication and engagement with the residents, a shift in our ratio of residential to non-res tax assessment, and creating a transparent process for infrastructure investment and utilizing our asset management plan. Now, none of these things are perfect today, I fully acknowledge that, but they are measurably better. I pushed for a citizen satisfaction survey, which we did for the first time in the fall of 2024, as well as we've had improved communication about town activities, and I even convinced them to host our now annual Resident Appreciation Barbecue to appreciate all of the things that you guys do and for you to have opportunity to come and talk to us. We've seen substantial growth as a direct result of the policies I've championed, and while it has been mostly residential instead of commercial or industrial, overall that is still a win for Calmar. And I have driven meaningful momentum for asset management and for our long-term infrastructure renewal plans. Now, looking ahead, I have 3 key priorities. Fiscal responsibility and smart growth. We need to keep Calmar affordable while planning for tomorrow. I want to find every cost savings we can in the budget, even and especially if that means finding innovative ways to perform our core services. The same thing is not always going to be the best plan, right? We need to look at doing things differently. And we need to continue to attract growth that helps lower our mill rate while maintaining the character of Calmar. Next, community connection and transparency. I want to be a mayor who shows up, listens, and communicates. I see this as an extension of my proven commitment to communication and engagement. I don't shy away from tough conversations, and I'm always willing to do the work. Whether that's volunteering or wading into the hard topics on the local rant and rave, I show up. And lastly, I'm going to keep going too. Lastly is my vision of Calmar as a hometown for every generation. I want to build a community where families thrive and programs serve all ages. That includes recreation for kids, youth, adults, and seniors. That's housing that fits all stages of life and cultivating strong connections between all of us. Now, my priorities for the next 4 years may have changed a little bit since 2021, but my heart for our community and my passion for the job have not. Please vote Krista Gardner for mayor.
Well, thanks to the candidates, and I know it's difficult to stay with that three-minute side of things, but you did a good job. So with that, we'll start the Q&A section for the mayor to be mayoralty candidates. And so I think when you do ask a question, I'd ask you to please introduce yourself as well. And so if you want to direct the question to all 3 candidates, let me know. If you want to just direct it at one, that's fine too. So with that, are there any questions to the mayoralty candidate? Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Hazel Robertson.
Hang on.
This question would be directed to...
Hang on.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Hazel Robertson. This question is directed to Alvin and Kirk because actually Krista answered it in her speech there. But I'm wondering, in the last 2 years, what have either of you done for our community? I know, Kirk, you were a mayor in the past, but in the last 2 years, what have either of you done in the community for us?
Recently moving here, one of the first things was run for now. Drive care, volunteer for drive care. Also at Northern Lights, because a lot of them seniors have trouble driving. I posted my number there. If they need to drive to get groceries without going through daycare, I'll give them a ride to their store and do what they have to do. Being new to Calmar, I haven't had too much of an opportunity. My main focus, and I'll be honest with you, is finishing my backyard. And then a puppy takes up a lot of my responsibility, the dog park, so.
I think that sounds good, and from what you've done so far, he's going to go a long way. So I think, good job. Nice to meet you. I'll tell you, in the last 3 years, what I've been really doing is deep dive into what we can do to fix a few of the issues. So we trapped the better part of 20 cats. That's not a cat or a dog problem out there. That's a people problem. But we really do have a animal dealing with those poor beasts out there. If anybody's been walking around seeing the bodies in the spring, I mean, this is pretty sad we let this happen. I would like to, I'll give you this really quick and then just pass it on because it's a little bit above there. But I've discovered through the same methodology, we can drop the cost of a house. We can start doing a few things like going after companies that aren't behaving properly. One of the things that we do is, Amazon probably does more business than most of our small business in town. They don't have a business license, they're not registered here. Okay, and yet we put this license out and we harangue people, and when they start a business, we charge them $200 just to make sure they can actually have a business. That's just not right. All right, so what I've been doing the last 3 years is going through this. I vetted this, I've looked, and surprised you or not, we don't have, there's no such thing as a fraud net. Look it up. The police in Canada, there isn't a fraud desk in Canada because prosecutors aren't going after it. Okay, traffic's not being enforced because they don't have time for it. They're dealing with mental health issues because the health department's taking time picking people up as the ambulances are sitting at the same time. So our system is really buggered at this point. What we have is the ability to use regulation. So really quick, regulation, a bylaw exists for the purpose of a municipality to be able to pass regulation over something not covered by an existing law. A bylaw cannot supersede a higher level of government, but it can do something in the absence thereof. Now, why can't we get, first of all, the methodology in place to do so, go through a provincial organization and have a common bylaw across the province and municipalities that says you will not have an unspayed or unneutered animal in this province unless you have a license. Well, we take care of that problem pretty quick. Put a few dollars up, spay what's out there, let it go, and pretty soon it's taken care of like a rat issue. Like I said, I'm going to go through this really quick. I could spend a lot of time on it. This methodology can be used on delinquent business people. This can be used for stopping telefraud. And why it can be done is, it's regulation, it's not legislative. That means it doesn't fall under the courts. The judges can't touch it, neither can the lawyers. The province would have to pass a law against it if they didn't like it. Okay, regulations versus legislation. Well, we're not. That's what I've been doing for the last couple of years for my community. So as I've been putting this together, this is something I wanted to bring forward. And I'm glad to have the question, because I've done that all on my time in the last 2 years.
And thanks for bringing it up, and I think we've all wanted to be able to have the opportunity to ask questions. Did you get to your point?
Alvin did, I think, went more
Went
into
too
the
far?
future. Well, my question
That's what I've been
was,
doing for the
what
last
have
couple of
you
years.
done? No, what are you doing? Yes.
Let's stay focused on the question of what and how this is elected and candidates be answering those questions and what and how, okay? So that we're able to have a reasonable conversation going. So Krista, your turn is up to respond to that question.
Well, I did say I volunteer a lot. I do. If anyone would like to hear the list, I spent this morning cutting cabbage at the church with people here in the back at St. Margaret Mary because we support our local community, where I am the chair of the ladies club and active. Where then I went this afternoon and made sure all the parents and everyone had signed all their waivers because today was the first. I volunteer a lot for my sons play football with Leduc District Minor Football Association. So I put so much extra time into my work here because I care so deeply about our community. So thank you for the opportunity, Hazel.
Thanks for that question. Anyone else have a question for any of the candidates? Yep. Go ahead, I'll repeat it to them.
I'm Stephanie Shretza, and Christy, you mentioned optimizing residential to non-residential taxation. What is the current non-residential rate in Calmar?
So it's currently about 85% residential to 15% non-residential, which is, to be fair, for communities our size, that is actually substantially better than most. One of the things that's really frustrating about that is then we see lower levels of what's now called the local government fiscal framework, just for all the people that have been on council and now they've changed all the acronyms because that's the way the government likes to operate. So sorry for all of that. So we see reduced LGFF operating dollars and things like that because we have more non-residential assessment than most communities our size. So I think so places like Leduc, places like Strathcona County, they see a fairly substantial goals, generally 60-40 residential to non-res. Moving that needle is going to be really challenging because we are a bedroom community. The reality is that large industry is not going to set up in Calmar. They're going to set up into a county or a municipal district. And so how can we bring additional businesses? I have lots of ideas around doing some of that work, continuing extension of promotion of our community, continuing to do some of our economic development work, and bringing all of those kinds of things in. But again, moving that needle is going to be tricky. But I like the idea of having measurable statistics of things that we can come back and say, yes, we did these things. And so that's number of businesses or business licenses, that's, that percentage. But right now it's about 85-15. Sorry, I went way over.
Thanks, Krista. Anybody else?
Has a bonus thought, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just question for Krista. I'm Gerald, pastor of Calmar Community Baptist Church. I know we've been on council this last 4 years. So on council, there's 5 votes, right? 4 councilors, 1 mayor. You had 1 vote this last term, but you still will have 1 vote if you were the mayor. What do you propose to do any different as a mayor than you had an opportunity to do as a council?
That is a fantastic question. I think that, so the reality is that council rules as one body, right? Council decisions made by council now need to be supported by all of council, whether you voted for it or not. Those are the rules. And you do have to get a majority vote in order to move something forward. And so, I look at my job, I've been accused of over-facting my arguments, and maybe you've already noticed that about me, that when we go to have a debate, I come really well prepared so that I have all of the information at my fingertips in order to make the best, most informed decision that benefits the whole of the community. And that's always my mindset. And so I don't see that changing. I think being mayor probably is part of the hardest part. Sean Kirk can probably speak to this. We have a number of former mayors in the room. It's probably keeping all of your council in line and chairing the meetings properly and keeping people on track and time management and all of those kinds of pieces. And those are skill sets that I bring to the table. I'm experienced in chairing things. I chair a variety of committees and boards in a number of different settings. And I think from that argument perspective as the chair, then you actually should probably listen far more than you talk, and you should be letting everybody else have their say first, and then come and let that, sort of take that into your opinion, and then you get to speak and then to vote accordingly. And so I don't think that the mayor, I fully recognize, everyone here recognizes everyone gets 1 vote. The mayor doesn't get more or less. But to be that leadership position, keep everyone on track, which is, maybe you think that's hard because I'm not great at answering a question in a short amount of time.
We're picking that up, yeah.
Does that answer your question though? Sort of? I don't know if anyone else wants to.
That's good. Go ahead.
Great job, Chris. What have you done since you've been in council for approximately 10 years? What have you actually done? Forget about the rhetoric. What have you done?
What have you done, Krista?
So are you looking for an answer of what I individually specifically have done, or are you looking for an answer of what I have convinced council to move forward with?
We are in a horrific condition infrastructure-wise.
Right.
You've been there approximately 10 years. We
9.
have major projects that have been done, and in a few years they're having to be done again because they weren't done properly. And you were sitting on council, and obviously nothing was done. We sat here a couple of years ago, we voiced a whole pile of concerns to you and to Mayor Sean Carnahan. Not a one was addressed. What have you done? What have you completed? What are you doing?
Krista?
So Bill, I appreciate.
Okay.
Okay.
He's going to answer your question, sir.
Thank you, Bill, for the opportunity to answer your question. So I appreciate what you're saying. The challenge with council is that council acts as one body. So I individually cannot make council do or not do things, right? You have to vote and you have to receive a majority to then move forward with something. Council employs one person, that's the chief administrative officer, the town manager. They then go out and direct all of the rest of the staff to complete the work. I know, and I can see that you're not happy with this answer. Council's job is governance. Council's job is policy, bylaw, the budget, and service levels. We have 4 main things. And in addition to that, I am a public front for the community to provide feedback. And I individually answer all sorts of questions. I take phone calls at all hours of the day. I get stopped on the street and yelled at with my kids with me. Or I diffuse situations and I take your concerns back and we work on them. And I appreciate that you maybe don't feel like those things have been addressed. And we were in that meeting with the town manager, who is in charge of operational matters, right? They go out and do the stuff. I'm not gonna go out and put up snow fence. That's not my job. My job is meetings, unfortunately. But lots of those concerns have been addressed. And to speak to your infrastructure deficit point, you are absolutely right. Calmar is no different than any other community across the entire country. We built a lot of stuff in the 50s, 60s, and 70s with zero plan of how to maintain it and what you're going to do with it. And lots of those things are now coming to end of life. And so that is the road project that you were talking about, right? And there are some additional things happening with that. But we have, I mean, lots of people brought their budgets with them, which I was really impressed with. I did not do that. There are a lot of projects in that budget that need to be looked at. And part of it is because, no offense to people that have sat on previous councils, but people were not planning for these things 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when they should have started, right? And so this is why the asset management plan and the process for infrastructure renewal has been so important to me. And my current colleagues who are in the room can verify that I have harped on the need of having relevant data, of having all of the information, of knowing what is most important and where do the dollars need to go now and what can wait for 2 years. These are not easy conversations to have, because every person who comes to you and says, my road is terrible or my sidewalk is bad, and I have to say, I realize your sidewalk is bad, but it's more important to replace sewer pipes. And so those are the kinds of conversations. So when you say, what have I done? I have had those conversations with so many people. I have not gone to a social occasion in Calmar since I've been on council and not talked about things like sewer pipes. And so I appreciate what you were saying, Bill. I think that there are an awful lot of things that I specifically have done. I have driven the asset management program. And I have we participated in a small group cohort of other communities. I was the only elected official there. And they all asked me, how can we get our elected officials on board with asset management? No one else thinks it's important. This is the key fundamental things that we have to do to stay sustainable as a community. We can't not fix things that are in the ground and just hope it's okay, right? And I keep telling my council colleagues, they would love fun things. And I'm like, fun is great. Fundamental is important. So those are some of the things that I specifically have done.
All I will say is, from what I'm getting from your office, the town office, and what has happened is, these roads have been done recently, and they have failed, and there's major dollars being needed to bring it back up to standard. And they're not 10 years old. So you were on council when this happened.
So
everything is failing.
We've heard your point. You've asked your question. You've got your answer, sir. And before I go to you, Kirk, is there anybody else that has a question? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Dan Sikora. And I have a question for the three mayors. What direction or vision do you see in the future, the next 4-10 years? Like, what direction is Calmar going to be? Is it going to go industrial, commercial, residential, or like you mentioned, Krista, it's a bedroom community? So I just want to kind of, you're going to be the leader, directions, just what direction?
That question you're asking is to all three of them? Okay, so since I found your Kirk, you go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Dan, previous council too. So I see where some people didn't like what I gave for an answer for the last time, but I think what's missed is the amount of time that I spent doing that, calling across country and doing research. We have a number of issues that we have to take care of. And that again goes very much to this question. So where asset management is important, I know exactly what he's talking about. It couldn't have done it better if you would add 3 roads going through what Bill's talking about. It would have been actually actual experiment. They were that close. And that was from paving of the road that came through, and they didn't seal up the holes, and all this water went under, and it undermined our roads, and it's wrecked 46th and 45th. That's for another time. In the next couple of years, asset management, yes, but why are we doing it the same way? We do water the same way we did. My biggest contention is stick and wire. So when electricity came out, it was stick and wire. And we've got everybody running on electricity now. They've got all these toys and things they want to hook up, but they're not realizing that from the time of electricity, it's exactly the same technology that moves it between A and B. That's a big liability to us if we have a storm or otherwise. Your phones don't work. Ambulance can't be called. Fire, it goes across the board. In the next 4 to 6 years, we need to get people in physical shape. We need to have some educational programming going to dietitian, improving our education, walkability, giving people the incentive to find joy in life where a lot of people are going down. There's been people are taking themselves at a high rate these days. Now in the next 4 years, why not get rid of some of our roads that are unnecessary? We've got alleys. I have 2 alleys in a road. So I'm surrounded on 3 sides. Okay? And we all pay for that. Why? Why are we graveling that? Why are your alleys getting taller so all the water's running into your yards because you keep throwing gravel on it? We need to address what we're doing, find a different way of doing it, and know how we're going to move into the future, because we're being pushed into electric cars, different types of aviation. We're going to be having conflict and a whole bunch of other things going on at this point. We're going to go on to a war footing. You're not going to be able to get things that you want. And it's already happening. They're prioritizing major fiscal events for Canada, so that means that's where the concrete's going, that's where the steel's going. You will see this happen. It's happened before. It's cyclical. So in the next 4 to 6 years, we need to start getting ourselves ready for what's going to come down our streets and through the air. And we're a small community. We should be able to do that. First, with kindness and courtesy to each other. It's a very small place, just like taking care of your yard. You don't get along with all your family, but we get together. Let's talk this out. And let's find that vision so that we're not reacting. Let's be proactive going in.
So with kindness, we'll move on. No, to you, Alvin.
Krista nailed it. The mayor's job is to take your concerns to council and make sure council stay on track and get them through. My only job as mayor, my vision is, that's your vision, which you guys choose to bring to council so we can react on it, right? If you're I'm not, I need the input from the whole community to become a successful mayor. Suggestions, how insignificant you think they are, they could be very important at the time, right? And from door knocking, I've heard a lot of concerns and a lot of things, and a lot of these concerns are out of Calmar's availability, because we've got to work with Department of Highways and stuff like this. But I have heard them, I've had listened to them, right? And again, I'm going to say the mayor is a servant of the people. That's all I am. And if you guys don't give me any information, I'm dead in the water. There's not much I can do at council and things like that. I need the input for the community for Calmar to be successful.
Okay, thanks. And Alvin and Krista?
I love that. Thank you. My vision for 4 to 6 to 10 years, I think, so here's the thing. We currently have infrastructure to support growth for up to about 4,500 people, including wastewater treatment and water services. I'd like us to see us grow closer to that. I think I don't want 4,500 people in 4 years. That is a big jump, but to slowly get there. But I do want to see that balanced by having commercial growth in town. We changed in the last 4 years. We changed zoning to allow for additional parking spaces to make it more attractive to open a drive-through on the commercial lot that's at the west end of town. And potentially, they could have 3 drive-throughs and 18 storefronts on that lot. We see a lot of highway traffic. We have the ability to do that. The challenge is that we've done a lot of the work from policy, the part that council can actually do, and now we need to go out and find investment, because I don't want to spend your tax dollars building those kinds of things. And in other communities, they have done that, and in some places it's been successful, in some places it's been a disaster. So I want to find the external dollars. I go to things, I talk to people that you would think would never have any idea, and I have an elevator pitch. It's about a minute long about all of the opportunities and the perspectives available in Calmar, and I make it to all sorts of people all the time in the hopes that one of those people then come back. We have a large business person who has bought land on the east side of town. I strongly believe that we have a number of these things that are all ready to go, and sort of as soon as one of those dominoes tips over, we're going to see a lot of these things. We have people moving here for houses. I want to make sure that they have all the opportunities to do everything they want to do in town. I don't want people to have to leave Calmar to go to Leduc to buy groceries or to, put their kids into all of these different things or any of that stuff. So my vision for 4 years from now, 6 years from now, is to have all of those pieces that you want here right in town so that you can buy all of your stuff local if you want to. You can do everything you want to do locally. You don't have to go into Edmonton. You can do all of that here. And I think, Kirk, you had some great points about walkability and fitness. I have plans and things I want to do around recreational opportunity. I have been volunteering with Jamie Reber down there doing fundraising for outdoor. We have some of the members of our task force here looking at redevelopment of where the ball diamonds are in order to provide recreational amenities in town, not on tax dollars. I see a need and I will go out and do the work for you guys because we can't spend money on recreation when we need sewer pipes. And I recognize that. And so I'm going to find another avenue to go and get the money. So we want to do all of this stuff to have people have these opportunities. And just really briefly, I think that was such a great point about people and mindset and attitude shifts over the last number of years. I've worked on a project with Alberta municipalities called The Future of Municipal Government and Fostering a Culture of Respect. And I think civility in our communities has declined. I think particularly through COVID, that was a really tough time. And I will say it, I spend more time, honestly, than I should, probably for my own mental health, stepping in and commenting on things in rant and rave or things I see on the internet, because I believe I have an obligation to correct misinformation when I see it. You are more than welcome to your opinion, right? Everyone has an opinion and you're welcome to have it, but when you say things that are factually untrue, I feel like I have an obligation to do some of those things. And so I really want to work on that engagement piece because so many of the people commenting on there, I know have my phone number. I know they could call me and tell me their problems, but instead they want to put it on the internet. And so how can we do some of those things where we're building that engagement, we're building a big tent, we want people to come forward and build that community piece together. So those are some of the things that are really important to me, and so I hope they come to fruition, and thank you for your question, Dan.
Great, thanks for that question and answer from all three. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Hi, Gordon. So you talk about you're on these helping kids out in football, Girl Guides, figure skating. I can't remember them all. So if you could be a few questions for Krista, but the other ones is for the three. Where's that going to put you if you get elected for mayor? Does that mean you have to step down from doing all your charity stuff with the community that you've been doing now, like you say you've been doing? So you move up a notch in the mayor's position. Who's going to do your charity stuff? Like who's going to do what you do now as a councillor and all the stuff you do? You just push that aside, or do you push it on somebody else? Okay, who does your stuff now? Okay, that's the question for Krista. So I want to answer that first before I have the second question.
Yeah, and when you get to the second one, remember the what and the how when you ask the questions.
Okay.
What do you do
as a mayor?
Yeah.
And
What
now,
you're doing now?
yeah,
Who's going to?
how is she going to do it?
How will you do it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Are you okay with what I just said?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead, Chris.
To be honest with you, I don't see a change. I already actually put substantially more work, probably than the average person into this job because I love it so much. I am incredibly fortunate. There are people online, I'm sure my husband's one of them. I need to give him a shout out. He funds our life through his job where he works very hard in order to allow me to pursue my passion. And I really appreciate that from him. I don't think, to be honest with you, I think the additional responsibilities of mayor are at most a couple hours a week over and above the things that I'm currently doing. And so I don't see a reason to stop volunteering. If I could get someone to take the presidency of figure skating, I would love that if anyone is interested. My daughter doesn't even want to skate anymore, but I don't. But it was established in 1971 and I can't let it die. So please, if anyone loves figure skating and is interested in that, please let me know.
Okay. So you have a question then for the other, all three or the other two?
All three.
Okay, go ahead.
So, starting as what, Alvin?
Okay.
So you're saying you're not gonna build a recreational platform because the pipes need to be changed, or you gotta put the money somewhere else because that's more important, which I get it. So as buildings deteriorate and we have to rebuild, does that mean that, what's more important, new building? You know, what things again? Or do we waste our money on something we don't need yet, or do we still stay with the pipe thing?
No, that's to get hung up on the water.
How do you
You're gonna get-
prioritize
Go ahead.
repairs for existing things versus needed new items? Yeah? Like how are you?
I can be specific if you like.
Sure.
The arena.
Yep.
Okay, so we know that at the end of this pipe.
Perfect.
Pretty much.
Yep.
We know what the problems are. But we spend, I don't know how much, on solar panels. So is that because, okay, we need a solar panel, but we didn't know the lifespan of the arena? So now does that mean we had to kick the piping apart, or that's whatever sewer pipelines to do that? Or we had to do a walkway from Thomas over there uptown for the people to walk, but yeah, what got kicked aside to get that walkway done? Was it important? Probably because of the traffic. Yes, I get that. But what else gets kicked aside to upgrade the arena, or to, what are we gonna do to the arena? It's not gonna be $1,000, to fix it. So what gets kicked aside next time if we need the new arena, or we want a RV park? That's the goal was that. Everybody's asking, I don't know what the council members, we heard about it. I get it all the time. Hey, but not me. You guys gotta go to the meetings here. So we need this in town to support the ball diamonds and to have it all in one spot. Now, I get it, there's some rules and regulations. So does that get kicked to the curb again? And what are we gonna do to say what's more important? Is it the pipes? Is it the arena? Or is it the RV park?
Good question. Good question.
Yeah.
And then 48 years, 2 terms.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll start with Alvin.
No, you start there and come back.
Alvin is first.
Okay, infrastructure. I'm not too sure because I'm not privy to a lot of the information. But I'm sure town and council knew that they only got water so long for sewer lines, so long for water lines before they have to replace. And I'm sure somewhere in the budget, and I'm only guessing, is there's money been put aside to replace them when the time comes. Due to inflation, that expense becomes a lot bigger than the town at the time is starting to put money away for these things. For me, infrastructure, towns, we got to make sure there's money in the budget so that one group of people don't get a big tax hit in 1 year, that this needs to be done, that needs to be done, that needs to be done. Because when it comes to water and sewer, there's no next week. It's got to happen now.
Okay, good, thanks, Alan, then over here, Kirk.
Okay, so elephant in the room, a lot of stuff's not getting talked about here. All right, so the two roads got screwed up this year, and it was from not paying attention to what was going, it actually happened last year, and it was from not paying attention to what was going on during paving. The crown of the highway is too high because they didn't shave down that highway when they did it too, which makes it dangerous for people trying to get on the highway. That also was not addressed. We were losing something to the neighborhood of 300 houses a year in water due to leaks, of which pointed one out, and it got fixed pretty quick, and that's been going on for years, okay? Yes, we have a certain amount of water capacity and such too, but if we put it all into houses, then we're not going to be able to bring in a business without having to upgrade our water again. There's a sweet spot here. Houses are not revenue positive. They tend to be revenue neutral, and when they're not in a full subdivision, they're a loss. You have to take care of the sewer, the water, pick up the garbage. We've got a lot of issues with that kind of thing, okay? So I'm sorry I'm coming at this kind of sideways, but I'm hearing this, and the thing is that I'm here today because I don't feel that these things have been properly watched. We have open holes. We have people doing business and building in town. These open holes are not being surveyed. Why doesn't Public Works drive by those things twice a day to make sure that the road isn't filthy afterwards, that they're not making a mess? Why are they doing this after works? We had OH&S 3 times on our block shutting down one hole. And each night the kids come around and they want to go near the hole, which does not have a proper fence around it. This is all going on a daily basis all over town. We've been digging up roads that were just started because they found out they didn't put a proper water connection on. Okay, lots of money going into that. We've got cost overruns. Okay, this is what's going on right now. So yeah, we need to get to that point. Yeah, we need to take care of stuff. But we have to get a proper policy, procedural operation going that takes care of things properly now, takes care of what we have, gets rid of what we don't need, and moves into a future of what we're expecting to move towards. I'm sorry, that's where I go with that question.
Thanks a lot, Kirk. Just a reminder, everyone, you can see we have a number of people at that end of the table that haven't had an opportunity to say much. So just a reminder, what we're going to do in 5 minutes, we're going to switch gears and let them get going, so we'll take a 5-minute break. I'm going to ask Krista to respond to that last question, and I'm going to give a person who hasn't spoken before to be able to ask a question. There's something I've missed. So that'll be you, sir. Okay, go.
Go. Okay. I'm going to try and keep this brief. Okay, starting first of all about how do you prioritize things. So one, in this last term, council approved a document that says first priority goes to health and well-being. So you need water, you need sewer, those kinds of things. And then second to that is regulatory compliance, right? We have to meet certain like legislation and things like that. So those things are the top priority. Then next is things that help attract growth, particularly growth in commercial and industrial. Then after that is sort of the other kinds of things. And when you talk about that, it ends up getting really challenging because it's never a clear decision where it's like, oh, this is obviously a number one and it's going to trump everything else, and so we're just not going to do it. It never actually works that way, which is part of what the point of the asset management plan is. Over the last number of years, we have now input, I think it's something close to 50,000 data points. That is conditions of roads on every segment in town. That is every CC valve in town at the edge of your property where it connects to the water system. That's the condition of every length of pipe. That's sidewalks, that's curbs, that's roadways. And you can click on the various segments and see what is past its planned life expectancy. So when you talk about how long do things last, pipes are supposed to last 75 to 100 years. This is where we are running into things because if something was built in 1950, it's now 75 years old. And people don't think about this, but like, man, is some of this stuff expensive. Fire hydrants are enormously expensive. All of these individual pieces. So it's not even just the giant pieces of infrastructure. So when you're looking at all of those kinds of things and trying to predict what needs to be done next, what you can't do until you've done something else first, balancing that, I will be totally honest, the reason why we built that little piece of trail was because I kept arguing, no, we can't do anything fun, we can't do anything fun. And finally, we had to do something fun for the community in a small amount of money in a reasonably costed manner. I think that one of the things that we have really worked on, that I have really worked on, is that, to be perfectly frank, when I first joined council, we did not do planned transfers to reserves. We did not ever save any money for future infrastructure investment. We only relied on the ongoing grant money that we were receiving from the provincial government and from the federal government. So what is now called the Local Government Fiscal Framework was originally the Municipal Sustainability Initiative. In 2011, those dollars, we now receive 60% less money from the provincial government for infrastructure than we did in 2011. For us now, it's about $450,000 a year. Do you know what you can do with $450,000 a year? Not a block of road, which is a block of road, water, and sewer is a little over $1 million. That's ludicrous, but that is what it is. And so, to speak to the arena, absolutely, council was not told, especially until we really started digging into some of this asset management stuff about what the current status of the arena was. No one ever said to me until less than 2 years ago what the age of the slab was. And so now we know these things. Now the people that are making the decisions know these things and are able to take that information in and hopefully make those decisions. I, as the leader of a local nonprofit, are planning to write a community facility enhancement grant in order to get some of the money to fix some of those pieces in the arena, but it is a slow process. I hope that answers that. This is not supposed to be a debate. Some of the things around, like the crown of the highway, Alberta Transportation said it was within specs. We are not in charge of the highway. Council's only in charge of our local roadways. Talking about water capacity, I sit on our local water commission, the Capital Region Southwest Water Services Board, in which we are doing long-term planning that will eventually twin the line to Calmar. And we are actively involved, both at the board level and also at the administrative level, with providing forecasting so that we are able to meet those needs. And I can tell you that as a region, we want to work together to bring large investment in. And so if somebody came and said, we want to put a mega plant in Calmar, and we felt that it fit Calmar and we needed more water, we would find a way to get the water.
Good. So I think what
That
you're
was
after,
probably my whole 5 minutes.
what you're after here is changing information, and I know we're trying to run the clock so everybody has the opportunity to speak, but thanks for that. You had questions. You're the last question we're going to ask for the mayoralty candidates. There they're going to do, I ask them 1 minute each to wrap up, and then we're going to take a 5-minute break and get into the group that's hungry to get going. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, just a quick question for Mr. Ryan. Do you have any municipal experience, and what made you choose to run for mayor instead of council?
I believe in democracy. At the time when I chose to run for mayor, and I waited almost as long as I could before I dropped the council position for mayor, I felt that Calmar needed a choice. So I thought with 2 people running, Calmar has a choice.
So you have no municipal experience?
Repairs, water, sewer, you want to go, yeah, that way. But as far as council, no, most of my experience comes in industrial, running bigger jobs and dealing it with that way, which is kind of a small community, but not quite the same.
Thanks, Alvin. So to wrap up the mayoralty tech questions, Alvin, you've got 1 minute to wrap up and add anything more, and followed by Kirk, and then Chris did a finalize. And please, 1 minute.
If I may, maybe you move that clock where we can see it. It'd be a lot easier. We don't have a relative time sector, so.
So how about if I put my hand up? Is it going to go down?
Good enough, but 45 seconds. If you put
45
that would be
seconds?
excellent.
Okay, we'll do that.
Right on. Yeah.
You go.
Okay, wrap it up for Calmar. Basically, as your mayor, I want to take your concerns, bring it to council, and operate. I'm only as strong as the support I get in the community, and that goes with your council too. Right, if you sit at home and talk to the neighbor, you're not happy with this, you're not happy with this, nothing's going to change. Right? I want to encourage more people to show up online and at council meetings and put your input, because your input is important. Whether you think so or not, we need to hear from everybody in this community to make a well-informed choice. And that's my biggest goal, right? I'm not here to advance my political career anywhere else, because I chose Calmar. I want to put back into this community. And this is one of the ways I feel I can, in the best way possible for me.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alvin. Okay. So Kirk, the clock is starting.
There we go. Okay, I'll try to do it in 45 or less. I've been through a lot of this stuff. I see a lot of things that we can do to make some adjustments to what's coming in our future. I do have a different way of looking at the world. I love this town. I've been here 25 years. I don't plan on leaving. I built a house here. I would like to be closer to my community. I would like to promote that kindness and that courtesy thing, and I think that's where we start, and that's how we move forward, is by that behaving. And then we need to all together not be paying for studies and outside bodies, but we need to look at our community and come up with these answers ourselves. And much like the other two have said, then we have that discussion and we move forward with it, and we'll find those priorities, okay? And then we direct the council towards it. But I said I won't talk too much. Please take a flyer, call me if you like, let's have a chat. 45 seconds.
Right on, man. Way to go. So, Krista, the clock is starting now on you.
Oh, good. First of all, I want to thank everybody here tonight, including these gentlemen, including everyone who's put their names forward, and everyone who's watching online. Along with Alvin, I'm a huge believer in participating in the democratic process, and I love that you're here learning about the candidates, asking questions, and hopefully getting out to vote, because it makes a visible difference in our community. I believe strongly in public service and have my entire life. I believe you create the kind of world you want to live in by showing up and doing the work. I want to live in a Calmar that cares about each other and cares about our future, and I want to build that community together, which is why I want to be your mayor. I believe in a collaborative approach, driving our community forward in a thoughtful, intentional way, making decisions that benefit the whole of Calmar, even when it's hard. I want to make sure the most important part, I think, here is that connection between your elected officials and you. I'm here to serve. I listen, but apparently not to instructions. I show up, I get results, and I want to continue working for all of you. So please, on October 20th, vote Krista Gardner for mayor.
Good, thanks, very well done, everybody. Good, so with that, maybe you can recognize the mayoral candidates, and they did, all three did an excellent job, and that's what this is all about. So we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to come back with the same process. And thanks to the mayoral candidates, we learned something on how to handle this for the next stage.
Tell them 3 minutes.
Good, thanks a lot, everybody. So we'll just see you in 5 minutes.
Thank you, Alvin. Are you
let's go. Okay, let's get going. We're going to be here till 9 o'clock when the lights go out. So thanks to the 9 council candidates for your patience and to the questions. So just a reminder, each one is going to have 3 minutes. We got the selection of who goes first. And again, we'll give the 15-second notification. As well, I'll go back when it comes to you, and I'll remind you again when it comes to the Q&A from your side, how you're going to approach that. So, sorry, I turned my back on you, that's not great. So the first person to start is Terry. Go ahead, you're on.
Is that on? Thank you. Thank you very much. Good day, my fellow residents of Calmar. How are you today? Hey! My name is Terry Balaban, and I'm running for one of the 4 councillor positions here on the 2025 municipal election. I've lived in Calmar since 2013, so 12 years. Prior to that, I worked in budget and finance for large corporations in Alberta for approximately 38 years. When I moved to Calmar, I got involved in the municipality as a member at large with economic development and sat on many other committees. I was elected to council twice in my tenure here. I'm currently involved with the Calmar District Senior Citizens Club, sitting on the board as a treasurer and casino chairperson. I'm also a member of the Friends of the Library. In running for election to council, I want to continue to serve this community of which I am very proud of. I want to Town of Calmar be a home for residents young and old, and everybody be proud to call Calmar home. However, one of my philosophies is if a community does not grow, it becomes stagnant, and the residents of the community suffer in many ways. We do need to grow, but we need to grow at a managed level. If a community grows too quickly, infrastructure in the community will not keep up, and businesses and residences do not get the services they require, and the businesses and residents will leave our community and go elsewhere. Business growth goes hand in hand with residential growth. You cannot have one without the other. An important issue about commercial growth is important for a community and the youth in the community. If we can bring businesses from various sectors to our community and our town, we could have employment for our teenagers and young adults. The other thing we need in town, and I'd like to address, is a place of hospitality, like a motel, a hotel, something like that, to bring somebody like that in there. That's commercial development. Because many of the places in Calmar, for example, the Legion, suffer because there's no place to stay after a function. You have to go into Leduc or Devon. People don't want to drive after a party. Trust me. A community must be affordable for residents to live in, for residential and commercial. If people move in, there's a larger tax base and greater taxation revenue provided and better services for the taxpayer without large tax increases, because you can only go to the well so often. We need to carefully balance our tax revenues and expenditures. If I am elected, my goal is to try to work very hard for you, the taxpayer, to ensure that property taxes you contribute to the town are fair and that your money, taxes collected, are spent wisely and effectively by the town. I feel my experience in budgeting and financing will be a great benefit if elected. Another important feature is recreation for young and old as well. We currently have an outdoor arena that, according to the capital draft budget, is due for replacement in 2028, and the outdoor one is due for an upgrade in 2031. So council is looking for upgrades in the future to get all this stuff done so that people have somewhere to have their recreational time. Just a little point before I finish up here. We try to say where our money comes from. Is that it? That's it?
15 seconds.
15 seconds, thank you. In a corporation, there's 3 ways of getting money. In a municipality, taxes are collected from businesses and residences. The second source is from government grants. The third source is from borrowing, and it's called debenture borrowing. So just like your home, you have to utilize your money. I hope you take to heart that I'm running for the position of councillor to serve you, the residents of Calmar, and ensure the monies we collect for you, the taxpayer, are wisely spent and provide the services and amenities you need. Vote for me, Terry Balaban, for one of the 4 councillor positions in this election. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Number 2, Michelle.
Right on time there, bud. So Michelle, go ahead.
Oh, hi, everybody. I'd like to take this time just to say thank you for coming. It's nice to see everybody out. Sorry, I feel that I can be heard without this. A little bit about myself. I've lived in Calmar for 34 years. I've brought my boys up here. They graduated here. I love the systems here. We have a great little community. By the look of things here, people are upset what's going on in the community. I don't think there's transparency anymore. I think things are being not brought out as they should be brought out. Those are my personal opinions. That's why we're here. I feel that if I am elected for your council, which I should tell you again that I have sat on this council prior to, I have had 2 terms, one 3-year and one 4-year. So I do know how our budget runs. I do know the municipality acts. I do know what we are able to fund for, how we get our funding. My biggest thing is our budget. We have approximately 21-ish hundred people that live in Calmar. I'm not sure exactly the amount. I'm thinking houses are around 900 homes. People can nod yes or no, give or take. So we don't have a huge, and I'm going to say prior to, our budget was about $45 million. $4.5 million. And with that, we had to do policing, we had to do roads, we had to do, our biggest was income for people who worked for the town. So that takes about 50% of your money. If you all own a home here, you know how to run a budget. You know that what comes out of your budget, you have to be very careful because you either take from Peter to pay Paul or you take from Paul to pay Peter. So if I was elected, I would like to be able to balance that a little bit better. We have young children here, which I feel that they need to know what their community is consisting of. They need to know what the school consists of. Again, we go backwards, but I'm wanting to see that in the future where we can utilize our schools for things that the community would like to do. The school can utilize the community for what they would like to see go on. We used to have a high school student that would come to our meetings once a month to let us know what was going on in the school system. We used to be able, we used to communicate with the curling rink, with the arena, with the Legion. I don't know if that's going on anymore, but those are things that I want to clear out, and I want to make sure that they're still going, and I want to bring us to where we should be for our size of a community. We're not competing with Leduc or bigger communities. We're competing with communities that are our size. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Vote for Michelle Perdoka.
Very well done. So we'll now go with April. Here we go, April.
Hi, everybody.
Floor is yours.
My name is April McDonald, and I've been a resident of Calmar for 3 years. I'm raising my 3 children here, which one has already moved on and gone to college, but I have a kid in both the elementary school and in the high school still. I volunteer with both of our schools and participate on the school council and the PTAs. I believe the reason that I'm running for council is I believe that we need to take a detailed look at our spending while protecting our essential services. After personally receiving a 30% tax hike on my taxes, I have looked at our budget, and I agree with Kirk that it is not only hard to read, it needed to be explained to me. But I feel that I have located some areas that I can be way more efficient. Our capital budgets are all outsourced, and none of it is being done in-house, as in none of it is done at a public works level, which seems extremely expensive and forces them to be extremely far out, years in advance. When you look at 52nd Avenue, they want to push it far out because they can't seem to find a way to do it for less. I believe there are solutions that could make these things available sooner. For an example, some of our asset management, we spent $300,000 on a street sweeper, which we use twice a year instead of spending $30,000 on one that would fit on our existing skid steers. Or the fact that our rec facility makes roughly $415,000 a year and costs $996,000 a year, which means it costs us as taxpayers $550,000 a year to have our arena. We seem to be spending, or in our capital budget, we have a spending of $1.4 million in expanding to go around the school. And I wonder if it is better for our residents to fix the current infrastructure that we have that is failing. And I think it is a resident's job to put some input in on that decision rather than council to decide for us. I'd like to see some more sport locally. As a business owner, I have the opportunity to work with other municipalities, and I have clauses in there that protects to purchase local with percentage caveats when you're awarded a project, and we don't see that in our town. If our developers in town were required to do this, it would benefit Calmar residents, as every dollar that is spent local stays local. I'd like to be your voice. If you need anything brought forward to council, I am not afraid to be the voice for your concerns and matters. I feel that I can bring your voice and bridge the gap between the residents and council. Communication runs both up and down, from you to them and from them to down to you. So our town is small enough that we should be more engaged and more community-based, working, volunteering together to build a better place to live. Calmar is my home, and I'd like to be the change I'd like to see.
Thank you. So the next speaker then will be Don Faulkner.
Okay. Good evening, friends, neighbors, and residents of Calmar. My name is Don Faulkner, and I'm looking for your support in this fall's civic election. I've lived in Calmar since 1993. This is a sample of what I've experienced here. I've seen it grow slowly from roughly 1,500 residents to what it is now, approximately 25, gathering momentum and experience growth at a rate that we've never seen before. My wife and I have raised 2 daughters in Calmar and have experienced the growing pains of our educational institutions. We once had a school that housed K to 12, and now we have a standalone elementary school and a high school that includes a soon-to-be open collegiate center. I'd like to think that I was a small part of these developments. I was also part of helping the doctors locate in Calmar, and we can all see how successful they have been. When I first moved to Calmar, I joined the fire department and served for approximately 6 years. I've been part of Christmas Elves, the Legion, Calmar Seniors, to mention a few local organizations. I've worked bingos, casinos, and participated in other fundraising events that supported much needed activities in our community. I've been on most boards, like Krista, and committees in Calmar, which gives me a great deal of experience and perspective on how things have contributed in making our town the one that we all know and love. I am and will continue to be involved with groups and organizations that make Calmar a better place. Enough about the past, let's talk about the present. Last year we saw over 30 housing starts. This year we're expecting that number to be around 20. That's a total of 50 families in the last 2 years alone. We're diligently working with our developers to grow those numbers even more. Better yet, we are working with the non-residential developers to grow that part of our tax base, and that will enable us to lessen the burden on the residents as we move forward. We've been working on plans and strategies that will help us move forward in an affordable, sustainable manner. Our recently completed Transportation Master Plan identifies our future needs. It will help guide us in making Calmar a safer, more accessible place. These things are not secrets done behind closed doors. They happen in full view, and you can be part of these if you so choose. As a matter of fact, we're continually looking for more public input. Please let us know how we can best reach you, as we are always looking for better ways to inform you and hear your concerns. Now for the future. Working with our neighbors and regional partners is important, and we need to be constantly assessing those partnerships for mutual benefit. Advocating for our community provincially and federally is also of great importance. We've developed and will continue to cultivate those relationships. As we continue to grow, we need public participation. Your thoughts and ideas will help shape the future of Calmar. Please stay tuned for opportunities to help us, or to give us feedback and help us develop recreational opportunities in a strategic framework that can be implemented in a fiscally responsible manner. Yeah, there, I got one paragraph. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you, and I look forward to your support so that I may continue to be a value to the community as we move to the next step in our growth. Okay.
So, Danielle? Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Danielle Borden, and after being encouraged to run for town council this election and last, I decided to finally throw my name in the ring. My husband Scott and I moved to Calmar in 2014 from Edmonton. We were drawn to the community for its small town feel, while being close to big city amenities, and at the time, the housing prices were significantly less than in Edmonton. We always wanted to raise our family in a small town, and to this day, we are happy we chose Calmar to do just that. We had no issues putting down roots in Calmar, and we quickly built a life here, getting to know our neighbors through community events and through the day home business that I ran here in town for 6 years. Now that our kids are in school, we've had the privilege of expanding our circle, and 11 years in, we really feel quite settled here. Of course, like any community, Calmar has its challenges, and over the years, I have not always agreed with the decisions that the town administration or previous council have made, and I have never been shy to speak up about those things. With this conviction, I have helped spark needed projects over the years, such as the fountains in Southbridge, crosswalk lights on the west end of Highway 39, and the need for a new playground on the south side of the highway. I am happy to have seen each of these projects come to fruition. If elected, I plan to bring that same care, persistence, and commitment to the council table. As a resident, I deeply understand the concerns we all share. Our property taxes feel burdensome, new growth needs to be managed thoughtfully, and Calmar needs to remain a safe and welcoming place for families and businesses. I am not a career politician. I am a local resident who feels passionately about people and about our community. My goal in seeking a council seat is simple: to be your voice at the table. While I may not have a deep understanding of the Municipal Government Act yet, I am a quick learner, and I believe in learning openly and transparently. My desire is to take each Calmar resident along with me on that journey, to ask the questions you would ask, to dig deeper when clarity is needed, and to make sure the decisions we make are understood, not just by council, but by the people who actually live here. In my professional life, I lead a province-wide organization that I founded in 2018, which supports thousands of childcare providers across Alberta. In that role, I've learned how to listen to diverse voices, navigate multiple levels of government, advocate for policy change, manage budgets, and bring people together to solve problems. Those same skills are what I will bring to Calmar Town Council: practical leadership that is rooted in community, collaboration, and accountability. Calmar is already a wonderful place to call home, and together we can make it even stronger. I look forward to listening, learning, and working alongside all of you to shape the future of our town. Thank you.
Did I hear a standing ovation there? So our next speaker is Jody.
Jody
Sider.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Jody Sider. I moved to Calmar almost 2 years ago, and my husband and I bought a house. We have 2 boys, aged 5 and 6, and I have absolutely fallen in love with this town and community. That is my drive to run for council, is to help keep this going on a good path. I feel, since I put in my name for council, that I can really see the division in the town that I wasn't really aware of until then, where maybe we need to bridge the gaps between, I have young kids, so I know all the school moms, and all the activities that I've done in town are aimed at those young kids. But my father also lives with us, and he's 78, and I feel like the seniors maybe don't have as much to do here. Also, with the rising taxes and businesses coming and going, I would like things to maybe be easier in the sense where our spending is looked at wiser, because it's nothing for my hubby to pick up an extra overtime shift and make up the difference because our taxes went up again. But when you're retired on a fixed income, you can't just come up with that money out of nowhere. So I feel like the spending really does need to be looked at. My background is not politics, as you can tell. I worked in healthcare for 15 years. 10 of those years were spent in geriatrics, taking care of seniors with Alzheimer's dementia. And then 5 years of that was spent in adult mental health. So helping people comes naturally to me. I am a good listener. If people want to talk or have any questions, I would do my best to find an answer. But I would like to see maybe bridges built between the different divisions in the town, including council, the younger generation to the older generation, and just more voices being heard at the table. I feel like maybe, I don't know how to word that nicely. Yeah, communication, transparency are going to be needed if we're going to build a future that goes forward and doesn't stay stagnant, and getting businesses here that we actually use as locals so that we can keep those businesses. We have 3 empty buildings sitting on Main Street right now and 2 being built, or 2 that are set to be built. It's kind of discouraging. I would like to see more things brought in that our town will actually utilize. Thank you.
Our next one then is, John.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome this evening. Thank you to all of the candidates at this table. I have spent 4 years with our current council as the mayor. So thank you guys all very much for stepping up and wanting to be a part of the community. I've been a resident in Calmar for 23 years. I've raised 2 children through the wonderful school systems one was just being completed when we moved to the community. Those 2 children have decided that Calmar is a great place to call home and have bought houses here in the community. So they've remained here. 4 years ago, when I ran for the position of mayor, a wise gentleman in this room asked me a question about what I thought we would accomplish in 4 years. And he was very clear to remind me that 2 years is going to be a learning curve. He was not wrong. I've spent 3 of the past 4 years completing the municipal elected official certificate through the University of Alberta, Augustana. I've sat on a number of boards. I have volunteered in the past in Calmar through hockey, scouts, soccer. I'm currently a Legion card-holding member, and through the help of my wife and a kick in the pants, have helped to organize meat draws at the Legion. We have to help these community organizations. I've been to a number of fundraising events and made investments in those fundraising events. What do I see in the future of Calmar? I'd like to say I see the solution, I see the answer, but I am the same as every other individual at this table. We're going to have to do a lot of work. And the biggest thing on my mind is where the dollars come from. The residents are the income source for this community. We don't have big, mega commercial or industrial development. 4 years ago, that was part of my campaign plan. Today, that is still part of my campaign plan. We need to spur on some form of larger growth. We've watched Amazon open up the highway in Atchison, right after they opened up in Nisku. How come Calmar was missed? Were we not at the right tables when we should have been at the right tables? We need to have those conversations. So that's where my commitment level lies. We were able to bring in fiber optic and big Wi-Fi in the last 4 years. We now have internet connectivity in this community for those that want to have it and utilize it. That is success in the undertaking for all future businesses. We have businesses in town that currently use it and will continue to use it, and that will help with the future development. 4 years I've been part of the change that has happened in this community, and I would feel honored to have another 4 years to remain at the table to make the changes that this community asked for 4 years ago.
Thanks. And last but not least, Danny.
That's all the way down.
Good.
Thanks, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Jamie McKay-Gruber, and 4 years ago, you placed your trust in me to serve as a counselor for Calmar. At the time, I was 6 months pregnant, tried to hide it, and with my oldest child, running a home-based massage business, involved in a local running fundraiser, and had been a member of the Downtown Revitalization Committee. I stepped into this role because I had a passion for leadership and recreation. As I was shifting my focus to family life, I looked around and saw areas of improvement for the place that my children would now call home. Over these past 4 years, I worked hard to carry your voices forward. Together, we've seen progress in the upgrading of our downtown core through the facade improvement program and the work that CIB has done. A yearly decrease in residential mill rate, increased programming through play dates, seniors fitness, open gym nights, craft nights, movie nights, and more. We've seen a significant increase in development, and so much work has been done to get a clear grasp of what's above ground and below. And while I am proud of what's been accomplished, I also know that there is more work ahead. There are projects that are only just getting started that I desperately want to be a part of and make sure that they come to fruition. That word has been used a lot tonight. Calmar is growing, and with that growth comes both opportunity and responsibility. We need to ensure our town is a place where young families want to raise their children, where seniors feel supported, and where businesses can thrive. I believe council's role is to balance the practical of policy, infrastructure, and budgets with the vision of creating a vibrant community that we're proud to call home. For me, this work is incredibly important. I am now a mother of 3 children. I own a business on Main Street, and I am involved in more volunteer and fundraising responsibilities than maybe I should be. Shout out to 1,000 Mile Running Event. I think we raised $16,000. But this is personal. Mine and your kids are growing up here right now. Our businesses are here, and the future of all of our families are here. Every decision I make at the council table is shaped by that reality, by the understanding that we are not just planning for today, but for the generations who will come after us. I am running again because I believe in Calmar. I believe in our ability to work together, to have solution-based conversations, and to keep moving forward with optimism and grit. I believe that experience matters, and that having a counselor who already knows the issues, understanding the challenges, and has built strong relationships helps keep our town on steady ground. I am a counselor who has shown up. I have done the work, and I have proven that I am actionable. We have done so much groundwork in these last 4 years, and I'd like the opportunity to bring that work to fruition. I want to enhance our rec opportunities. I want to challenge the budget and thus our mill rates. I want defined business attraction. Feel free to ask that. Upgrading our policy and bylaws so that they make sense. And tonight I ask for your support to continue to serve you. Let's keep building a Calmar that is welcoming, resilient, and full of opportunity. Thank you. You can clap.
Jamie. Very well done, everyone. Right on time, too. So we've got till 9 o'clock for Q&A. And so just a reminder, they will change a little bit of the things. I'm going to bring the mic to you rather than you come to it. And if you talk loud enough, you maybe won't even have to use the mic. So what you'll do is you'll direct the question to specifically who you want to respond. And again, we go with the what or the how if you can phrase it that way. And we're gonna make sure everybody gets a chance. So that's we'll do that rotation again. And again, as well to the councillors on your responses, so that we can get as many people in the next 45 minutes. Keep your responses succinct and to the point, and I think that'll be helpful for everyone. And the same with you when you prepare your questions, so that the candidates know specifically what you're trying to ask them. So, having said that, who wants to start the ball rolling? Okay, I think I recognize this guy.
From the incumbent councillors and mayor, could you please explain how, pray tell, we spent almost 10% of our whole total budget last year on administration? Are you guys just passing the buck down to the guy? Or how come it is so high? That's $500,000 gone.
Okay. So you're asking all of them?
The ones that were in council, because they were part of it.
The incumbents, so that would be Don and Jamie, right? Okay. Jamie, you want to start?
Sure. Sorry. I was like, who's giving me a mic? In the budget, when it comes to administration, and in all honesty, Krista's going to be like, no, you're not doing this right. The total cost, I can tell you right now that if you're concerned that our CAO makes $500,000 a year, he does not. The administration costs that are in that also includes several things other than the actual CAO, and all the jobs in between. Sorry, I'm totally blanking here. Dawn, go ahead.
The CAO's wages, like our wages, are public knowledge. He does not make $500,000 a year. Administration consists of many facets. 3 plus 1.
So answer the question. Go ahead, Don.
Like I said, it's many facets. It's just not the CAO himself. It's the supports that he has around him to do his job, and the people that also have to have wages that are earmarked to that line item. So it's not just the administrator or the CAO. It's the people who are supporting him, and the other things that are supporting him too. There's equipment, there's computers, there's all sorts of things. And I'll let Sean finish this off.
Throw him under the bus.
Sounds like great.
Yeah, thanks for the I get to finish this off. Okay, you can look at wages as a percent of the total revenue. And all business owners in this room and at this table know that a 30% cost of operation to run an operation is a reasonable dollar value. Another 10% of that, up to 10% of that, can be for what they call non-operational value. So if administration is 10% of our total budget, that makes sense. We have to have people to perform the jobs, to perform the services. So it's not unreasonable, and we all sit in this room and talk about the cost of inflation. We talk about the cost of the infrastructure. Guess what? All of these individuals that serve and work for this community face the same thing that everybody else in this community, including myself, face: rising costs. So we want them to do it, and we want them to do it for cheaper. Doesn't this sound like the issues that are going around right now? We have to be cognizant of that, and we have to treat the people fairly and with respect. We've gone through the process. We've done analysis. We've asked administration to do those analysis. They're not out to lunch.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Anyone else over on this side? You want to just come up here? And by the way, those who want to speak next, come over here.
He was bringing the microphone in.
I wanted to start a lineup. Watch the movie Michael. He's the one that started the lineup.
Okay, I'm Stephanie Trubetskoff, and I'm the current chair of Calmar's Community in Bloom Society. On that note, we provide service free of charge. So, Communities in Bloom has been an active society here in Calmar since 2003. We have a growing volunteer base. There's no age requirement to join us, and no gardening experience is necessary to participate. All you need is the desire to show up, help, and learn. We work hand in hand with the town to showcase Calmar positively and are making great progress provincially, and we do have our eyes set on greater achievements. So my question is, do you support this partnership, and are you prepared to lend your time to ensure this program continues to thrive? I suppose it would be for, I look around the room and I can see about 20 people who already volunteer for Communities in Bloom, so maybe if you're just running for council for the first time. Yeah.
I would be happy to answer your question, Stephanie. I actually did not know a lot about Communities in Bloom or the purpose that it serves beyond, that we have beautiful flowers in town. I've actually seen some things about Communities in Bloom because we're now friends on Facebook through getting to know each other through school. And I actually love the idea of volunteering and, chipping in to make our community beautiful. And I would commit to being on a volunteer basis with Communities in Bloom. Absolutely.
Michelle's next.
For those of you who don't know, I used to sit on Communities in Bloom, and I actually got it going again because I love the passion of the community and it being beautiful. There's one thing that I'd like to say about Communities in Bloom. It doesn't get the brightness that it should, because if we didn't have those volunteers, you wouldn't see the beautiful flowers. You wouldn't see the ladies having so much fun when they're putting the flowers together and listening to the people going out, oh, these are beautiful. Can I take because I do that. I take little pieces because they're just going to go freeze in the wintertime. But yes, I would be very, very pleased to sit on Community Blooms again and watch it grow. One thing that we forgot to mention about Community in Blooms is we compete in the province with smaller communities that are our size. And I believe we won this year. 4 blooms. That's fantastic. Congratulations, ladies. That's beautiful.
Good. So then that next goes to April.
Well, this probably isn't going to make me a lot of friends in this room if there's 20 people sitting on the board. However, Communities in Bloom, I'm a numbers person. Communities in Bloom says that according to our budget, we spend $30,000 a year on it. Now, do I support it? Yes. Does our town look great? Yes. Do I think there's a way to better spend the money? Yes. But do I think that there's a balance that we can find so that maybe it's not $30,000 that we have to spend every year, that we can plant some perennials that grow back again so that it's not such an invasive price tag to our mill rate every year? Yes. Am I willing to give my time? Absolutely. I have 3 kids. They can give their time because they're voluntold too. However, I do think that it is a way that we have room to find a better way to spend it so that we can make sure that it is not an incurring cost at such a large rate, that there's a way to offset it, and there's always a way to find the money if that's your passion. Is it my passion? No, but it's not something that I would erase or eradicate. It's just something that I believe that there's a better way to spend it so it's not an incurring cost every single year.
Okay. And last but not least is Jody.
I feel like I'm biased on this because I sit on Communities in Bloom. I absolutely love the flowers in our town and volunteering with that. I think it does brighten up the summer, and I think the residents that do enjoy the flowers feel good about it. April saying that perennials and stuff can be planted, I do not disagree with that. I think there is a balance we could find where it does save the taxpayer some money, but I do absolutely love the committee.
And thanks, Jody. Anybody else have a question that we haven't heard from? Yep. I'll come to you next.
Terry.
Terry didn't.
CIB.
That was a trick question.
That was a trick question. CIB, one of the greatest things that we have here. It beautifies our town. I don't know how many people here have driven through other communities and seen the flowers. Brings people into town. People walk down Main Street, they're seeing the flowers and everything else. I was involved with Communities in Bloom, I think about 7 years ago. My wife and I were involved in planting flowers, planting baskets, getting the baskets. I still do the audit for the Communities in Bloom Society. I'm involved with them very much so. I think they're doing a wonderful thing. $30,000 is a minor, to me, is a minor expenditure to make our town beautiful and attractive for people to come and live here and see what this town can be. You know what? The Communities in Bloom, they sell baskets to everybody. Anybody who wants a barrel, they can buy a barrel. They can buy hanging, no, they're not hanging baskets, the beds. You can buy, there's money coming in from people in our community for Communities in Bloom. $30,000 is a small amount of money when you're looking at a $5 or $6 million budget to bring the beauty and the tourism to our community. Our businesses survive because of these people coming and looking at flowers.
Thanks, Terry. I apologize for missing you.
That's all right, fine, not a problem. Who's next? Oh, okay.
In order to ask my question, I got to tell a short story, very short, because if the politicians can talk long, then I think I can share a story too. But our church was renting a church just on the west, as you leave out of town in Parkview, Crescent. We were there for many years. They turned around and sold it, and we were without a building, so we went in search of finding a place to meet as a church. And this building we rented, and other one, and so we did secure a lease above the dentist office, but our roadblock was the town council bylaw. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. It happens to be in C1, which is commercial zone 1, which doesn't allow places of worship. Which, in all, the story itself for us dealing with council in that matter, we I thought we went through a lot of the right processes in getting this, and I guess never considered the fact that Commercial Zone 1 was going to eliminate us. And so whether you agree or not, my question, and I think it would be fair for me to ask the non-incumbents this question regarding, everybody says in communication they're going to communicate. I'm going to tell you what our experience was as a church. When we were dealing with town council and getting this bylaw and just information wise, and whether it was yes or no, and if you guys are in this room, you want to vote it down, that's fine. But the communication back to us was poor. Okay, there was one counselor that came to our people and talked to us, just one, and he's not running for council right now. But my question would be for the non-incumbents: when you talk about communication and talking to people, as to even if they're directly involved in a bylaw, what does that mean to you? Like what does communication mean to you in somebody's directly involved and they come to town with something and they have a concern? How do you respond?
What is communication? Okay, Terry, we're going to start with you since I missed you last time.
What is communication?
Yep. I think that was your...
Yeah, like do you have any unique, everybody says we're going to listen and we're going to communicate, but what does that mean?
You sit down, you talk, you don't send emails back and forth, you don't send text messages back and forth, you sit down in a room and you talk to the other person and find out what they really want. They find out what you really mean. You're not hiding behind anything. That's communication. Communication is back and forth, back and forth. If you don't have that, you don't have communication, you have talking. That's all you have.
Okay. That's good, Terry. You've answered the what and the how. That's good. So, Michelle.
I think communication is huge. Communication is huge in a community. If you don't have communication, how can you grow? You need to be able to figure out what you're looking for, what you're wanting, what you're going to bring to the table, what we're going to bring to the table, and we need to put a balance in there. We need to look at all the rules and regulations, but if you're a paying community member and you have paying community people, I'm not sure the qualifications you need, but I think it should be looked at, and I think everybody needs to have open eyes and really listen to what's being brought to the table. That's how I communicate.
Good. April?
I think the best way to start with communication is to not start with a no. I too have had the same sort of representation with our town, that when you go there and you ask something, it seems like the answer is no before you even get there. Unfortunately, I'd like to start it with a yes. But the question will be, let's just find a way to be flexible and find a way to communicate that works for both parties. I can't say that we're not going to email, because what if that's your preferred way? If your preferred way is to sit down and have a conversation and a coffee, then that's the preferred way that you're going to get from me. If your preferred way isn't email, because that's the way you prefer to communicate with us, then that's what I'm going to ask you. I'm not going to tell you how we're going to do it, because I'm going to ask what you need. I'm not going to start with a no. The answer is, the solution is this, and how can we find a way to get you to that solution, and what adjustments need to be made in order to get us there? Because everybody here has an agenda, and everybody here has a want from the town. And if we start looking at it more of a, yes, we'd like to help you get there, and start with that as our goal, I think communication will just come.
April?
That was April.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to learn to count. Dawn. Dawn, that's you? You're Dawn? Dawn Faulkner?
No.
Dawn Faulkner's next, so I don't lose my count.
Just give her the mic.
Hi, I'm Danielle. Well, Gerald, I was lucky enough to have a conversation with you about this, and I definitely feel that communication is something that Calmar is a challenge for Calmar and is something that I'm very passionate about. I actually sat on the communications board quite a few years ago because I felt that the way that the town communicated with residents wasn't good enough. So I think to answer your question, what does communication mean to me? It's listening to understand the perspectives of the community and the residents that live here. It's following up, it's seeking clarification as needed, it's researching, and just making sure that you follow it through and that the line of communication is open, just like I think Terry said. I do think that the town could be better at collaborations. It doesn't make much sense to me, and I recognize that I don't have a lot of information on this situation. I wasn't sitting on council during all of this, but it does feel like collaboration is often a struggle here in town, and it doesn't make sense to me that, you know, a community organization wouldn't be supported to find a home and a more permanent home to serve our community here. And so yes, I definitely feel for you on that situation, keeping in mind that I don't have all the information, but that's something that I would have followed up on and I would have fought for if I was on council, so.
Okay, thanks. Jody?
Thank you. What hasn't been said? Communication is follow through. So we can go back and forth and ask each other questions, or I can say, I'd love to help you. But then if I hit a roadblock, I can't just avoid that and just wash my hands of the situation. I need to come right back. I need to tell you why that roadblock is there, how we can get through it, if we can get through it. I find people don't like conflict at all. So the best way people can avoid it is just by walking the other way. If people were to just sit down, whether it be over coffee or I'm not very good with email, I prefer in person, to sit down and actually discuss the problem and not be scared to maybe offend someone, hurt somebody's feelings, but then to take the time to find the answer, not just leave everybody hanging, do the research, ask the questions, and go from there.
Good, thanks. So to be clear, you didn't want to ask the incumbents that question?
I already know.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's good. So now we'll go to this gentleman.
Hello, my name is Logan Mills. My question is to all people running for council. So while it is true that council has done the good work and has been able to decrease the mill rate on property assessments over the past term, many residents and businesses alike have seen great increase in their property assessed values, which means that the amount of tax they're paying has actually increased, and sometimes substantially. At the same time, not all property assessments have changed at the same rate for like properties, which has effectively shifted the tax burden to some residents and businesses and away from others. How will this council address this discrepancy with the property tax assessor hired by council to make sure that properties are appropriately valued across the board so that all residents and businesses are treated equitably?
Good question. So, can I go first? Oh. So Logan, I understand where you're coming from and I totally get it. I lived in that house. It's a beautiful home and it's huge. Okay, but anyway, but what I want to bring to the table is Calmar is a municipality. So it's a basic piece of land. And each person that comes into the municipality has a little piece of that pie. And so everybody who has a little piece of the pie, depending on what size the pie is what that mill rate goes. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, please do. So I think what happens is some people who have a smaller home don't pay as much. People have a larger home. That's what I was going with. So how do we go about that? If people in their homes feel that they're being charged too much, they need to come to the town and they need to bring it to the assessor. And I think, again, communication, we need to sit down and we need to actually roll it over. We need to find out why, what the cause is, and what the solution is. And don't walk away until it's figured out, because I don't think you're the only person in this town that has problems like that, I'm sorry, not a problem, but has questions to that same problem. Why are there so many different rates for different sizes of homes? And I don't know if that's been looked at. I'm sure it has. And I don't know the solution because you have to talk to your council about that and you have to find out what the rates are. But that is something that I would love to find out because that is one of the questions that I get asked all the time. One of the questions is, if you rent property and you get charged the tax for that property, why do the renters have to pay tax on that property? So those are questions that I have that I want to ask as well. I'm not sure if I answered that properly, but.
Okay, keep on going. Right, let's go over to.
Sorry.
In my experience with working with the assessors and appeals and all of that stuff, I have, as council, we have often been told that it is meant to be a third party away from us, that we're not meant to be a part of that specific thing. The one thing that we potentially could do, and it's not something that we've talked about at a council level, is ask the assessors to go through the entire town and have a look at every single property and see what's on the go. As from my understanding of how it works is, and this has been really tricky in Calmar because 4 years ago, maybe a house was selling for $300,000, and now everyone's like, ooh, Calmar, and now the house next to it is selling for $500,000. Or somebody down the street is going up to those people and saying, I want your house and I'll give you $50,000 over above listing. And then that is completely messing with the assessments of people in that area, and that's what the assessors see. So they make their assumptions. I know that they do go and check, but they don't check every single house. I know I'm in I'm in this area over by actually next to you. There are houses that are, I swear, maybe 100 years old, and then there are houses that are popping up that are brand new now. So we're going to start to see some really weird numbers in that area, and we're going to start having some of those same issues. The answer to your actual question of how we're going to fix that, and it's going to not be nice for some people, is we could, I'm not saying we will, we could, and that'll be a conversation for the future council, is we could ask the assessors to go through every single house, I guess, and every single area and take an actual view of what's going on in each section of town, especially where we have had some infill. We do have houses that are being, I think I saw one house listed for $750,000 next to houses that are maybe 200, 300. So I think that we're going to start getting some really wonky numbers with all of this. So did I answer your question? I'm seeing nods. Okay, thank you so much.
I was thinking the same thing. We have these old neighborhoods where the houses are, you're maybe paying $3,000 a year, and then they go and they build a $600,000 house on your old street. That raises everybody on that neighborhood street. But all these homes that are being built are like 500 and up. And I get that housing is expensive, but the housing we're bringing in makes it unaffordable for so many. So the person that had low taxes, now there was 2 empty lots, say, sold in that neighborhood, all of a sudden they're seeing like a $1,000 jump each year because the whole street value has gone up. But I don't know the answers to that.
Just a reminder to everyone, we've got 25 minutes left, so if you want to keep it moving along, and we've got a couple more questions, I'm sure. So Don, the floor is yours.
Yes, I know the situation Logan's talking about. I spoke with your father, had some comparisons he talked about in regards to some properties that you folks own. It's a bit about communication as well. I didn't know those disparities, those differences until I actually had that conversation with your dad. And I think it's important that we need to dig a little deeper. I think we need a report perhaps from the assessor. Like, we get our auditors come in, they give us a report and tell us, what they've done, how they've done it, what we are doing wrong, what we're doing right, that sort of thing. Perhaps we need to have the assessors come in and give us a report to council, and perhaps give us some examples of what's gone wrong in the past and how he's fixed it, and how we can move forward in a better way. I think that there needs to be some work done, and communication is good, and for folks like you to perhaps communicate more with us without coming on to your door. But that's not a bad thing either. To let our economic development lady know, she could communicate that stuff to us too. If we could find out more of what you're having issues with, then we can perhaps find a way to change things.
Thanks, Don. April, keep going.
So I'm not sure about your exact But I'll tell you this, if you have met with Warren Powers on the night that he comes to the town council meeting or to the hall, he will tell you two things. He will tell you that his answer is law, and that if you want to go against him, it'll cost you the $800 or whatever it is, and that you will never win against him. He will absolutely decide the age of your home regardless of what it is. They will assess your age because of any developmental permits. They will assess your age. The only thing you can do is reason with him on a square footage percentage. So, and you can't use every house in Calmar. You can only use another bungalow. So you have to take information that you're not privy to, that you have to get from a realtor, and say and it has to be 2 years old, it can't be current. So you have to use information that is 2 years out. You have to use exact same house, so only bungalows in all of Calmar, and then you can come up with a square footage price. And then you can argue with him based on square footage what your house should be assessed as a value. That is the only way you will gain any ground with Warren. Then, if you don't want to do it that way, you can do it as a comparison, but when they use their comparisons, what they do is they assess a value to the age of the house, regardless if it was built in 1963, they assessed my age as now in 1998. It doesn't make sense, and you can't change it because unfortunately they fall under provincial
Municipal Government Act.
regularities, and you just can't change that. But he is a fairly reasonable person. If you will go after a square footage versus on an age comparison, you can generally get him to negotiate with you as long as you can show him the other things. Unfortunately, as soon as there is a sale, and that sale falls in his 2-year guideline, it triggers them to look at yours. But it may not trigger them to look at the duplex side by side because there hasn't been a sale. So it's not fair. It really will never be fair because it only triggers their whole system when there's a sale. And it will only trigger that for you to negotiate with Warren if you will come to that night and say, okay, based on square footage, but you can't use every sale. You just have to use that sale.
Okay, thanks, in April, that's good. Terry?
Oh, wow, how do you follow that? Thank you. How would I handle it? Well, I think the assessor is a provincial body. It's a provincial assessor that comes. The town does not hire him. Sean, do they? Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I apologize. So you can appeal your assessment. You may not win, but you may. You never know. So that is your town homeowner responsibility to do.
I'm more talking about it in a general sense than my house.
No, I'm talking in general. You're not just you, the homeowner in this place. Everybody in here is a homeowner.
I'm seeing the town either overcharging some people who may or may not be me, and undercharging other people who may or may not be me.
So those are the kind of discussions you're gonna have once the election is complete, and you'll do that.
I think we need more information on that, to sit down and talk about that, Logan. I really do.
I'd like to answer an assessment review.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think that in follow-up, you've got, all
We
the
can sit
council.
down and talk about that, and because then more information will be there.
Okay, Danielle?
I definitely don't have a solution, but I am very open to the idea of a review of the assessment process. I agree with you that, it doesn't feel fair sometimes, and I've had concerns with my own property assessments from time to time. And I also agree with April that it feels like trying to have your assessment reviewed is a waste of time and money. And so it would be nice to kind of look at that process and what kind of options the town has to help residents with that, so.
John?
Well, this is a very interesting question when you think about it across the entire community. In the 4-year term that I've been on council, we've used the same assessing organization. I've heard pros and cons for them. Property taxes are not, and everybody in this room knows that, property taxes have changed here in Calmar. The provincial government had performed an audit on Powers, and they requested that he make adjustments in his assessments because the town of Calmar was actually under-assessed for a long, long time. He had a sliding scale. The government said, here's a sliding scale. He opted to stay to the low side of the sliding scale. I don't know that council ever said, hey, let's move this up to a higher side on this scale and bring it back. I know what my property value says on my property tax assessment, and there ain't a hope in living whatever that I would list my house for anything less than $100,000 above that price. And I think my house is fair assessment. Now, my son phones me and says, this is crazy. I bought a house. I'm compared to everybody else on the block. I am the only one on the block that does not have a garage on my property. I said, hey, great conversation. Tonight's the night that Warren is here in town. I recommend you go down, take your tax bill. If you need some help, I'll come along as your conversation piece. He made the choice to say, I'm busy. I'm not going down. That was his only choice. Logan, I'm glad to hear that there are concerns, and maybe as council, we need to look at changing something that has been in place. Kirk, you and I were talking about it. It's got to be 20 plus years in this community. So the feedback is good to hear. We don't always hear the feedback. So that's what we need to hear is the feedback.
Good, thanks, Sean. There's a lady here that'd like to ask a question. You guys have had your chance.
Yes, my name is Ingrid Kaczmarski, and I like to speak to the lady that says about the perennials. I would really like to know how to do it.
Say that again.
For community and blooms. No. No, I need a volunteer at my house.
I think she's referring to April, talking
Yes.
about perennials.
Yeah, because yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would like to know about how you plan to put the perennials in the barrels. Yeah.
I just said on the $30,000, if there was a better way to spend it, possibly, I don't know that how exactly it's spent on each barrel. Is it costs $300 to plant each one, or it costs however much?
No.
There has to be this.
Excuse
But
me. You're not answering my question. You said we could put perennials in there. So I would like to know how you plan to do that.
Right, but I'm saying is the $30,000 is spent between barrels and the down, the whole garden that's over by the pump jack. And then at the front of the, I believe the Petrocan, there's another one. I was talking about some of those more permanent beds that you can change it out to make it so that it's not so expensive every single year.
Okay, how long have you lived here?
3 years.
All right, I've lived here 38 years. So I have a little bit more insight about the plants and what's going on. And yes, I do appreciate.
Do you have any good ideas on how we could save a little bit of that 30 grand, maybe
Well, do you have a
$4,000 less?
Do you have a greenhouse? Are you ready to build one? Maybe then we could.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here's an opportunity for council and public to get together on that particular topic and be able to answer that specifically later on. Go ahead. Yeah, do you have a question? As soon as I get finished with this demo.
Hi, my name's Wally Akamitz. A bit of a smoke screen going on here. There's three things involved in property taxes. One, assessment, controlled by the provincial government. Two, comes down to your mill rate. Mill rate is basically a number used to determine what each and every individual is going to use. So when they say we worked hard to drop the mill rate, if you increase your assessment, as Mr. Faulkner said, there's 50 new homes, your assessment for the total town has just gone up. Your mill rate's going to come down. The only thing council has to control is the budget. And my question to all the guys sitting there, my taxes in the last 4 years has went up 33%. Can I expect the same thing in the next 4 years?
So who wants to start? Start this end with Sean, pardon me, Sean. And just to remind you,
I think Wally's got a very valid question on that. My taxes have also gone up that same percentage, but when I'm looking at my tax bill, am I looking at the total dollar value at the bottom of that? There have been some massive increases pushed back down through this community. The education system is the largest increase that we have seen. The policing costs, the Alberta provincial government has pushed policing costs from $40,000 a year in this community to $125,000 a year in this community, with another increase on its way. That's for policing services. But we didn't see an extra boot on the ground here. We've had to go and argue, and we've had to push with the RCMP and the new commanders in charge to get an increased presence. So there isn't a simple answer to it. As Wally said, it's mill rate, it's property assessment, and it's budget. As the community says, I would like, can we do this, can we have that? That's a budget implication. So if we continue to have wants, and we continue to have to build infrastructure deficits to replace pipe in the ground, as we talked about earlier, we've got a long game in front of us. Rome wasn't built in a day. Calmar is going to take a long time to get us back on our feet.
Okay,
we need that bigger development.
Thanks, Sean. So if we can move along, Danielle and then Terry, April.
Yeah, probably not going to love this answer, but I think we do have to expect increases over the coming years. We have some big expenses coming down the pipe. Like the slab at the arena is going to cost $1.2 million. And that's just one thing. There's all sorts of things if you look at the budget, and I do agree with some of the people here tonight that the budget is hard to understand, and I do look forward to, if I am elected to council, getting that deep understanding of the budget and how things work in Calmar, but I am concerned how our property taxes are going to go up over the next few years, because we do have some big expenses looming ahead of us. And so it would be, for me, having conversations with residents and understanding what's important to you. You know, we make the point about communities in bloom, and if we took that expense away, we're taking a big part of our community and the beautification of our community away. And I don't want to just remove things to save money when it's going to impact us negatively, even when it's something as maybe trivial as flowers, but it's really not. And so, yeah, it would just be conversations about what's important to residents, making sure that we're making, you know, wise decisions. But yeah, unfortunately, we're probably looking at, you know, more budgetary, you know, issues over the next few years, and we're going to feel that pinch. So,
how do you answer that question? I did a comparison here. It's this little worksheet I prepared for myself. And my municipal taxes, the municipal portion of it, went up from $2,800 in 2020 to $3,200 in 2025. The school tax went up from $720 to $811. The total tax bill went from $3,500 to $4,000. That's over 5 years. In those 5 years, there was 2 years where the assessment went up dramatically. It really did. The assessment went up by, in 2023, assessment went up by $26,000, and 2025 went up by $25,000. There's your big increases. The rest of the time, the assessment was down by 2, up by 4, up by 6, so that's reasonable. The school taxes went up. Leduc Foundation's gone up dramatically. If you look $37 over $8, that's not much money, but it adds up. Every penny adds up. RCMP levy for 2 years, like Sean was saying, there was $150 on my tax bill for an RCMP levy.
Okay, we're not here to debate. You want to get, if you got your point across yet?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's possible that it's going to go up. It's possible it's going to go down.
Okay.
I admitted earlier I'm a numbers girl. So I do have the capital expenditure budget for the next 5 years in front of me. In 2026, we're looking at 1.6 million. In 2027, 4.8 million. In 2028, 1.6 million. In 2029, 1.6 million. So How do you control your budget? You look at each individual line item on this and you try to get it lower than the 1.6 million. Can I control it all by myself? No, I can't. It's going to take 5 of us that sit here and 5 of us that go on the same. They'll all have to be on the same page, which will then give Sylvan the instruction that we're going to attempt to make sure that we're under the 1.6 million in all of the years, except for the 1 year that we have 4.6 million in just the one year alone. Can I control it all by myself? No, I can't. But what I will commit to doing is making sure that each line item isn't just a big budget because we're a municipality. I'd like to see each line item broken down as best we can so we can get our best bang for our buck and see if there is places that we can shave a little to save a little.
Thanks for bringing up the subject of growth. As we all know, last year's assessment increase, those 30 homes that I said were built, those over 30 homes, we won't see that until the 2026 budget. They didn't come in the 2025 budget because those houses were just built the year before. The houses that are built this year won't be reflected until the following year. So when we talk about those new homes coming in, there's always going to be a delay, a bit of a lag. So to say that it's going to increase as much next year as it did last year, it's a little hard to say. A lot of it depends upon what comes our way too. We do have a lot of a deficit in our infrastructure. If something fails, if something big fails, we're in trouble. So
changing the name of the town, what did that cost us? Firing the town manager, what
Okay,
did that cost us?
that's
Increasing council's wages over the last 4 years to double, what does that cost us?
Sir, we're trying
do that?
trying to go through the question, the response to the questions. Go ahead. Are you finished, Don?
I'm pretty much finished. Like I say, the assessment's coming, more assessments coming, and that more assessment we get will change the bottom line. So we try our best. We have inflation. We have different factors that come in, and like I say, the government is a little fickle too, so we don't know what kind of grant money we're going to get exactly. There's a lot of things that play into it. I don't want to pay more taxes. I know I will. But I will try and mitigate that as much as I can, and by bringing more non-residential in, we will mitigate that more even.
We're down to 5 minutes, you can see on the clock, so we're going to have to go into OT, as they say in the hockey. So hopefully you're okay with that. So we're going to move through the 3 to answer your question, then we're going to do 1 minute go around. There's a young lady here that wants to ask a question. Hopefully that can fit into your 1 minute when I'll have a little discussion about that. So move along and then we can get you out of here in a reasonable time.
I do not have an answer. I have the same question. I worry about the same thing, but I don't know, obviously without being on council before, what exactly all the tax money has been delegated to. I do think that taxes will continue to go up, and I do worry about that, but I don't know the answer to the question.
Thank you for your honesty.
So one of my questions is I want to know how much land is open in Calmar. I want to know if there's any companies out there that we can house in our small town to help us. Housing, sure, it's nice to have homes come in, but we have to decide as a community, and maybe that's something the new council can put out there. What are we looking for in a town? What do we want our town to be? Where do we want to go? Do we want to grow in 4 years? Do we want to stay here? What do we want to do? Those are questions that we need to ask our community. Has the community ever been asked, where do you guys see us going in 4 years? If we have, prior to council, we all want to come out and we all want to voice our opinions and we all want everybody to hear us. I totally understand that. But if we do it at a round table and we do it as adults and we get our points across and have people listen and we listen back and forth, I think that we can all come together and we can actually make Calmar a beautiful growing community. And if we get businesses to come here, maybe our taxes won't be as high. We just need to actually come together as a group, as a community, as a whole, and figure out where we want to go. And then from there, start going that direction. That's how I feel.
Maybe?
To specifically answer your question, do I see our taxes going up another 30% every single year? The answer from me is specifically no. I think that I am committed to continuing to look for efficiencies in our service levels. I don't want to decrease our service levels, but I think that there's always room for efficiencies. I would like to and have been working closely with as many nonprofits that will talk to me about going after some of our grants that the municipality can't go for, because I know that the municipality can't pay for fun things. But if we can work with our nonprofits so that we can bring in that quality of life and those rec things, then that doesn't get downloaded onto our taxpayers. I don't want to see our taxes continue to go up. And even, I will be completely honest, even last year when we finished our budget process and the assessments that came in were higher than what we were originally anticipating, I felt like, oh, we could have done a little bit more work. My goal was to be under 10. We did get under 10, but we probably could have gone even lower. And I do think, and Krista and I have talked about this ad nauseum, that we should, based on the assessment that has come in these last 2 years, get that mill rate down an extra point. But that is a thing for 5 people, not just me, but that is what I'm hoping to do here. So no, from me at least, I hope that we don't see that. And we keep trying to eat the provincial downloading, and then the assessments are going up, and it's been a learning curve for sure. And I hope that in these next 4 years, I get the opportunity to continue to do that work, because I want the same thing that you. I don't want to pay more taxes either.
Hey, my name is Jenny Balding. I have a question for April. When the issue arose at the Petro-Canada recently, we could all tell on social media that this really upset you in many ways. I've also seen you talk on social media at tax time about where you would cut the budget if you were in the seat in a heated opinion. But it made me wonder, and others recently wonder, now that you're running, how will you make sure you remain neutral when community dispute arises, especially when they involve people or businesses of this community or issues you feel strongly disagree about? And also, if any new councillors that are running would like to answer how you would be neutral in this situation, please do so.
If you could, that's the last part of the question. You could do that in your 1 minute, if you wish. So your question was to April?
Well, I'm not gonna blow smoke. I'm not going to be very neutral. I have my opinions. That's what I expect to be elected on, is my opinions of where I stand. Will I listen to everyone? Yes, I will. Am I only one of 5 votes? Yes, I am, if elected. I am a very strong, independent, and opinionated person. And everyone that knows me knows that. And I want to make sure that the thing that we protect the most is our community. And we can't do that if we're losing our people that are moving out because our taxes are going up 30%. That isn't viable. That won't keep us a bedroom community. We don't offer anything different than Millet can offer or anything else surrounding Leduc. If our house prices is more than Millet, what are we offering? We have a bakery? Yes, we do. There are new businesses in that town. If we want to compete, we have to realize that we are in competition at this level, this same size of community. And we have to become competitive. We have to look at this like a business that has a bottom line that stops running in the red. We have to start running in the black. And if we don't do that, everyone will carry the burden of that, and that filters right down to our kids at our schools. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see people have to leave this community because of the choices that council and our town office make, that mill rate is at a rate that we just simply can't afford.
Okay, good. Thanks, April. So we may move this thing along quicker. We're just going to go right down and start with you, Sean, and we're going down to the end. And we've got 1 minute to wrap up.
It's an interesting question because as a councillor, your question is, how are we remaining impartial? How are we remaining? That might not be our job. In some circumstances, it is our job. In other circumstances, it is our job to listen to the community and speak the voice of what we have heard. It might not be what everybody has said. I'm impressed at the size of this room tonight. I'm imagining that our viewership is probably somewhere north of 100 people online. The last forum that I was at had 40 people in the gymnasium at the school. So I'm glad that the community is speaking. We have run a lot of ways to communicate. We're trying to find out more, but we have to, sometimes you're impartial, sometimes you're not, and you have to have an opinion. Debate on council is a good thing.
Thanks, Sean. Neil? 1 minute.
Yeah, I think I'll just wrap up based on your question because it is, you know, part of my campaign, and I feel really strongly that I have no agenda, and I do agree with Sean that, you know, I do have passions and I have opinions about things, but ultimately my role as council and what I'd like to bring to Calmar is that I just want to listen to what everybody has to say and understand what's important to everybody in town and to bring that voice forward. I've said before that I feel like communication has been a struggle here for Calmar, and I am just very committed to open communication and always being available to understand, you know, some of the concerns in the community and to just be that voice that you need at the council table and to get clarification and understand things as we go forward and make decisions as a council. And so really, truly, I have passions, but no agenda. I just want to speak for the community.
Thanks for that. Terry?
This is the 1 minute rule, right?
1 minute.
1 minute. What I would like
We
to
got
see,
another timer over there.
what
so
I
be
would like to
careful.
see is communication is the key here. The people of Calmar come and talk to the council talk to the people. Get that communication. What do you really want, people? We can't read your minds. You got to come and tell us what you want. And then we will work together to get that. It's talking back and forth. I want to see Calmar grow. I don't want to see it become stagnant. I want it to be affordable for the residents of this community. The only way we can do that is find out what you want and then prioritize. Then we can do our job.
Well done. You've got your 1 minute.
All I get to do, go ahead? Okay.
You can add, you can take only 30 seconds.
Sorry. Okay. My whole campaign is based on that I'd like to spend it wisely. I don't want to see our budget go over budget. I know far too many companies that run their budgets are on the wrong side of it, and I would like to see Calmar be on the right side of it. I would like to see them slow things down, support locally, put our minds together, go back to the basics, and get our community back together so we're not so divided, so we don't feel so unheard, so that we can all just call this place home.
There you go. Thanks, Don.
Yes, just want to talk about CIB right away. I was here when it started. I know there's a lot of pushback when it started, both ways. People loved it, people hated it, people were wondering about wasting money on it. I pushed for it. I was supportive of it right from the beginning. With some advocating for change, it begs the question, what is change? If you examine communities in Alberta between 1,000 and 3,000, Calmar is a leader in sustainability. We are doing better than most. Building our community is about growing and our capacity and cultivating our spirit. Mitigating residential taxes by increasing non-residential tax base is another key. Public participation, council harmony will develop the things that you residents desire in your community. These are positive actions that will happen through the activities of positive and inspired individuals that make up a team that we need for success. Allow me to be part of that team and allow me to be a part of your success. Please vote for Don Faulkner, October 20th, or before.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming and listening to us for hours. I am running because I love this town. I want to see good things happen. I want to see that communication. It seems like there's so much to talk about as a community that it kind of seems like it builds up for 4 years and then we come here and it gets unleashed. But this needs to happen more often as a community. Everybody's voice needs to be heard. The most important thing is please vote. Please tell your family members, anybody else in town, if you don't vote, it doesn't change. So if everybody can remind everybody in town that they see to go out and vote and have their voices heard.
Again, thank you very much for coming out. It's nice to see this many people in our community. I wish our council chambers could be this full every time there was a council meeting, because then we would be able to get things done the way the community. We're here for the community. We're not here for ourselves. We're here to make sure you guys are happy, and for listening to each and every individual, what they want in their town, what they want to see. What I would like to see is more businesses. The only way we are going to lower our taxes is if we do get more businesses in town. So again, we need to see where we can house them. We need to see how we can get them in here. We need to really look at the community. And again, maybe we need to start as new council having it's coffee corner, or, you know, coming out and voicing your opinions and being able to get heard, and having it back and forth, and you telling us exactly how you feel, because that's the only way we're going to make changes. So there's my minute.
Last but not least, thank you everyone for coming out, and Jenny for your question of remaining impartial and working with people. I think it's something that I've always done. I'm a business owner that has took a building, and Skip's not here so I can say it, where lots of people have joked that businesses go to die. And we are so jam-packed that I don't have enough classes for people. So I think something that I am good at is seeing a need in our community and creating the space or creating the time in my schedule to make that. And that's where people can talk to me and where I can talk to people, but remaining impartial to assess the needs of our community and to assess people's needs and talk with people is something that I think is a gift of mine. And that's something that I want to continue to do over the next 4 years, is to continue to see those areas that we are maybe lacking and create those spaces, whether that is the play dates, whether that is the open nights at the gym, and to keep all of those things under budget. I had a $500 budget for play dates, and I think we spent $120. I hope to sit here for the next 4 years, and I hope to sit with a group of people that want to be solution-based, that want to talk about the challenges that we see and get to create lasting impact, and that we get a lot done in these next 4 years. I hope that it is a mix of new and old blood, and I hope that we get to work together very well. Heather's waving at me, so that we're not on a 2-year learning curve. So thank you so much. Thank you all for coming out. It's great to see everyone. And you can come to my business on the 4th and the 18th. It's open for conversation from 12:30 to 3.
Good. So very, very well done, and thank you, members of candidates. Getting ahead of myself here. So I'd like to express my appreciation to all of the candidates, both mayoralty and council, for your openness and your ability to communicate with your citizens. That's excellent to see. I like hearing the words collaboration, cooperation, communication. By trade, I'm a mediator, and I like hearing those kind of words. So good luck to you, to members of council and the mayoralty in the election. And I can tell you've got good, solid citizens here that have got a tough job and be able to make a decision. And that's what it's all about. You're going to have to think this thing through, and you've got a lot of information tonight. I'm sure they're going to be knocking at your door and other communications with you, so that some of those questions that you weren't able to answer, you're able to see them, talk to them one-on-one. I also want to acknowledge the town staff. Heather, she's worked very hard with her staff to put this evening together, and it's made life easier for all of us. So thanks, Heather, for your contribution. And I can safely say that living in St. Albert, what I needed to do was check your website and find out a little bit more about your community. And I have to admit that website is very well done, and there's a lot of information there. And you want to continue as citizens to be able to build off of that and utilize that to share as a community. As well, Heather doesn't do this all by herself. She has other staff that I met, a couple of them this afternoon when I got to town, and she can extend our appreciation to them, and as well to CAO Sylvan for his commitment to this electoral process. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, happy to meet, sorry to part, happy to meet again. Thanks a lot.